The kick that broke the galaxy. The Galactic Concord Chamber was an ancient cathedral of diplomacy. Vaulted ceilings, silver-lit pillars, and a floor polished so brightly it reflected entire star systems from the holographic displays above. For thousands of years, countless species had gathered here to debate war, peace, and the future of the galaxy. Humanity had only occupied its seat for 43 of those years, but their presence had already reshaped the tone of the council. Envoy Mara Ellison walked with steady composure toward the central platform, her dark blue suit a stark contrast to the ornate ceremonial robes surrounding her. She moved with quiet confidence, carrying nothing but a slim datapad and the weight of her people's expectations. Behind her, several members of the human delegation took their seats, their expressions cautious but hopeful. The dispute they were here to resolve was small, insignificant, even just a question of mining rights on a moon orbiting an unstable star. Small disputes, Mara believed, were easier to solve peacefully. Unfortunately, the Zorith Dominion did not share that belief. Across the chamber, the Zorith arrival was more spectacle than entrance. Their soldiers marched in a synchronized formation, armor clinking like metal thunder. They were towering reptilian warriors, scaled, broad-shouldered, exuding dominance with every step. At their head stood General Vorkan, a legendary figure draped in heavy, gold-accented warplate. His helmet, shaped like a snarling beast, glowed with red slits for eyes. Mara took her place at the center. "Representative Vorkan," she said calmly, "I trust we can settle this without further tension. Humanity only requests neutral inspectors at the mining site. A standard procedure." Vorkan's lips curled beneath his helm. "Standard for the weak. The treaty requires transparency." "Your treaty," Vorkan snapped, stepping forward so abruptly the chamber guards twitched. "The Dominion recognizes no oversight by lesser species." Around them, murmurs rippled among the delegates. Some species leaned in, fascinated. Others shrank back. A few, who had dealt with the Zorith before, grimaced with dread. Mara held her ground. "We will not negotiate blind. Our colonies border that system. Any military buildup there would threaten." "You question our honor," Vorkan growled, voice echoing like a predator in a cavern. "I question your compliance." It was the wrong answer. No, it was the necessary answer, but the wrong one for someone like him. Vorkan took a step closer, then another. Zorith guards shifted, closing ranks behind him. Human delegates tensed. The chamber was supposed to be a sanctuary. No weapons, no violence, no threats allowed. Supposed to be. Mara did not back away. "General, this is neutral territory. You will step back, or I will." She never finished. In one explosion of movement, Vorkan lunged forward. His armored foot flew upward in a brutal arc. Before anyone could react. Crack! The sound echoed across the chamber like a gunshot. Mara's head snapped back. Her body lifted off the ground as the kick smashed into her face with monstrous force. She crashed onto the polished floor, skidding across it in a sickening slide. Her datapad shattered beside her. Blood streaked across the reflective tiles. Gasps erupted everywhere. Shock, horror, disbelief. Humans leapt from their seats. "Envoy down. Medic. Get a medic." But Zorith guards blocked the path, weapons materializing from their vambraces despite strict prohibitions. Vorkan stood tall, chest heaving with self-satisfied pride. His voice boomed across the chamber. "Let all witness. Humans have forgotten their place. This kick is mercy. Next time will be extinction." The delegates erupted in chaos. Some screamed in anger, some in fear, some demanded the session halt immediately. The Concord's security systems activated, shimmering energy barriers sparking to life. The lights dimmed, then flared. Automated warnings blared in a dozen languages. But the damage, the real damage, was already done. Two human security officers managed to slip past the confusion and rush to Mara's side. She was unconscious, breathing shallowly, blood pooling beneath her cheek. One officer whispered, voice cracking, "Envoy Mara Ellison, can you hear me? Stay with us. Please." Ambassador Kale Draven, leader of the human delegation, stood frozen for a single heartbeat. His normally steady hands trembled. Then his fear hardened into something sharper, colder. Rage. He turned toward the galactic recording drones hovering near the ceiling, broadcasting the entire event to trillions of viewers. His voice was low, shaking with fury. "Terran High Command," he said, knowing Earth was listening. "Prepare emergency protocols. Envoy Ellison has been attacked in violation of every interstellar law." He looked at Vorkan, who stared back with contempt. "You have committed an act of war." The Zorith general laughed, a deep, resonant mockery. "War? With your fragile species? Step aside, little human." Draven didn't move. Instead, he knelt beside Mara as the medics lifted her onto an anti-grav stretcher. Her face was bruised, eyes swollen shut, blood trailing from her nose. A diplomat, unarmed, protected by ancient laws, struck down before the entire galaxy. As she was carried out, the chamber fell into a suffocating silence. Every species present felt it. A line had been crossed, a taboo shattered, a peace undone. Draven straightened, eyes cold as deep space. Today, he whispered, the galaxy made a mistake, and humanity would make it regret that mistake. Humanity awakens. The moment Envoy Mara Ellison hit the polished floor of the Concord chamber, the galaxy changed. By the time she reached the medevac shuttle, the attack had already spread across every human world, every colony, every orbital habitat. The footage, slow motion, high definition, horrifying, looped endlessly across screens, both civilian and military. A towering armored Zorith general, a human diplomat with open hands, a single brutal kick, blood, silence, humiliation. Earth had endured insults, unfair trade sanctions, territorial disputes, and political manipulation from the older, stronger species. Humans were young by galactic standards. Too new, too ambitious, too loud, too emotional, too unpredictable. But one thing humanity had never tolerated: the breaking of trust. And by the ancient codes of the Concord, nothing was more sacred than the safety of an envoy. 1. Terror reacts. In the heart of New Geneva, beneath 100 meters of reinforced stone and steel, the Terran High Command assembled. The chamber was circular, lined with holographic projectors showing the attack from multiple angles. Every face in the room was tight, jaw clenched, eyes narrowed, fists pressed wide against the table. High Marshal Idris Hale spoke first. "We've confirmed the strike was deliberate. No provocation, no misinterpretation." His voice trembled with controlled fury. "Envoy Ellison is alive, but critical." A murmur rippled through the room. The High Marshal continued, "This is more than assault. This is an act of war." General Suri Patel leaned forward, eyes burning. "The Zorith Dominion has mocked the Concord for centuries. But attacking a diplomat? In the Concord chamber?" She shook her head. "They've declared themselves outside the law." Admiral Rena Locke tapped a control pad, pulling up a star map. Zorith territory glowed in aggressive red, human space in deep blue. "We've maintained peace for 43 years. We've bent over backward to avoid conflict. But after this," she exhaled sharply, "no human world will vote against retaliation. Not this time." 2. Human unity sparks. The reaction across the colonies was immediate and explosive. On Mars, miners stopped their drills mid-shift, gathering around screens in silent rage. On Luna's shipyard, engineers began welding armor plates without being asked. On Titan, students marched through domed corridors, chanting, "Justice for the Envoy, strength for humanity." Even the Jovian tribes, often rebellious, fiercely independent, broadcast a rare, unified declaration. "Touch one of us, touch all of us." Humanity, fractured in 1,000 small ways, now stood as one. 3. The Emergency Summit. The High Command meeting resumed with a tension so sharp it felt like static in the air. "We need facts before we act," General Patel said. "We have facts," Admiral Locke snapped. She enlarged the attack footage: Vorkan's armor, the angle of the kick, the sadistic curl in his posture. This was an intentional humiliation. A message. They wanted to show dominance. High Marshal Hale nodded, and they chose the wrong species to challenge. A new image appeared in the chamber. Mara Ellison in her medical pod, bruised, unconscious, stabilized, but fragile. Her face was swollen, her cheek fractured. A diplomat, a symbol of peace, reduced to this. A suffocating silence filled the room. Then the marshal spoke the words everyone already knew. Prepare for mobilization. 4. Project Helios revealed. But humanity had not spent the last decade sleeping. Admiral Locke dimmed the lights. Holograms flickered up, schematics, energy signatures, classified warnings. 2 years ago, we started a contingency program. Something the Concord didn't know about. Something the Zorith definitely didn't know about. A beam of golden light shot through the center of the chamber, condensed within a lattice of rotating symbols. Project Helios, she said. A quantum lattice energy array capable of bypassing shield harmonics. General Patel's eyes widened. I thought Helios was theoretical. It was, Locke answered. Until yesterday. We completed the first prototype. High Marshal Hale leaned back, stunned. We may be young, he murmured, but never underestimate human desperation or human preparation. 5. Humanity's warning to the galaxy. The Concord requested a statement. They expected calm explanation, diplomatic apology, promises that humans would not escalate. They were wrong. Ambassador Kale Draven appeared on the Galactic broadcast, face shadowed, eyes cold. This is my message, he began, to the Concord, to the galaxy, to the Zorith Dominion. His voice was steady, but beneath it was the rumble of a storm. Today, one of our own, an unarmed envoy under protected status, was attacked in your most sacred hall. You allowed it. You stood by. You recorded it. He paused, letting his words sink in. Humanity asked for respect, for peace, for fairness. You answered with violence. His eyes hardened. So now humanity will answer. The transmission ended. Several delegate species panicked, calling emergency sessions, begging humanity not to escalate. But they had mistaken humanity for what they once were, a fractured young race, naive and diplomatic. Those days were over. 6. The Envoy awakens. In the med bay aboard the Terran embassy ship, Mara Ellison's eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Her vision blurred. Pain throbbed through her skull. A soft light glowed overhead. Medical drones hummed beside her. Ambassador Draven stood at her side. She whispered his name. Kale, you're safe, he said gently. Her voice cracked. Humanity, what's happening? Draven hesitated, then spoke truthfully. We're mobilizing. All colonies. All fleets. She closed her eyes. Images of the chamber flooded back. Vorkan's armored foot, the sharp pain, the helplessness, the humiliation. When she opened her eyes again, the softness was gone. Only resolve remained. Don't hold back, she whispered. Not this time. Draven nodded, and far across the stars, human fleets began to move. War had not yet been declared, but it was coming. It was inevitable. It was earned. The galaxy had awakened something it would soon regret. Something called humanity. The Terran strike. War was not declared with shouts or speeches. It was declared in silence, in the quiet moment when the first Terran warship aligned its bow towards Zorith space. Across the Sol system, across Martian deserts, Jovian storm cities, and lunar shipyards, humanity did not erupt in celebration or chaos. They simply prepared. They had been preparing, in truth, for decades. Ever since humanity learned the hard way that the galaxy respected strength far more than diplomacy. And when Envoy Mara Ellison was kicked to the floor of the Concord chamber, the final restraint snapped. Earth Council sent the message. 2 words. Cold. Absolute. Execute retribution. 1. Humanity declares all-out war. At 0300 Terran Standard Time, the galaxy received an unambiguous broadcast. High Marshal Hale stood before the flag of the Terran Union, jaw set, eyes burning. Effective immediately, he said, The Terran exodus of peace is suspended. The Zorth Dominion has violated the most sacred interstellar law. Humanity petitions no council. Humanity seeks no permission. We are at war. There are no cheers, no drums, no triumphant horns. Just grim, unified resolve. 2. The first retaliation. The Ares fleet. 47 ships of a line, 9 carriers, 23 stealth frigates. Jumped into Zorth border space using lattice-fold calculations the galaxy believed were theoretical. In a single synchronized strike, the fleet appeared above 3 Zorth supply stations. Just weeks earlier, those stations had been quietly stockpiling weapons near the disputed mining moon, something humanity had suspected but never proven. Until now, Helios array locked, targeting grid stable. Fire. Golden beams lanced outward, silent and lethal. They did not explode. They did not burn. They simply unraveled matter, bypassing Zorth's shielding as if it were mist. The 3 stations collapsed in on themselves, metal shimmering into particulate dust. 20,000 Zorth personnel were evacuated in escape pods, untouched by the attack. This was not vengeance. This was precision. Humanity did not kill civilians. Humanity demonstrated power. The galaxy trembled. 3. The Zorth reaction. General Vorkan stood aboard his dreadnought, staring at the tactical reports with growing irritation. They target our stations but spare our soldiers, he snarled. Weak. Predictable. Humans posture, but they do not strike. His second-in-command hesitated. General, their technology. Silence, Vorkan snapped. Prepare a counterattack. We will crush their pride in a single blow. He selected the human colony Erebus Prime, a frontier world with rich forests and deep mountain fortresses. To him, it would be an easy target. A warning, a demonstration of Zorth dominance. His fleet launched. 4. Humanity's hidden strength. What Vorkan did not know, what no one in the galaxy knew, was that Erebus Prime was one of humanity's most heavily fortified worlds. Beneath its forests were kinetic shelters, railgun platforms, reactive shielding grids, and something built for a moment just like this. Helios Ground Array Unit 03. When the Zorth fleet arrived, the planetary defense network activated instantly. Emerald barriers flared into life. Railgun slugs streaked upward, punching through Zorth hulls with hypersonic fury. Vorkan's confidence cracked. What is this? That world is supposed to be defenseless. General, his officers stammered. Human defenses are far stronger than predicted. A golden beam erupted from Erebus' surface, slicing clean through a Zorth cruiser. The ship folded like melted steel and disappeared into a shimmering dust cloud. Vorkan stared, stunned. Humans, those fragile, young, emotional creatures, possessed weapons capable of killing ships that had dominated the galaxy for centuries. No, he whispered. Impossible. The impossible kept happening. Within 20 minutes, the Zorth fleet retreated, bloodied, shocked, humiliated. For the first time in his career, Vorkan felt something he had forgotten existed. Fear. 5. The turning point. Battle of the Black Nebula. The Zorth Dominion, furious and humiliated, deployed an armada 4 times larger than the Ares fleet. They met near the Black Nebula, a swirling storm of cosmic dust. Human commanders observed the incoming swarm calmly. Admiral Locke, her tactical officer, said, "We are outnumbered 4-1. Then they have the advantage," Locke replied, "of being a bigger target." Human ships flickered, then vanished, jumping micro-distances faster than Zorth sensors could track. Stealth algorithms scrambled signatures. Gravity lenses bent light and matter around Terran hulls. The Zorth fired blindly into the nebula. Humanity fired with intent. Helios beams pierced capital ships. Smart torpedoes wove through debris like serpents. Railgun barges split frigates apart. In less than an hour, the Zorth command ship erupted into a superheated cloud. Entire formations collapsed. The armada broke like shattered glass. Vorkan watched the footage from his dreadnought. "What are they?" he whispered. "Humans, what are they?" And for the first time, he understood. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not primitive. Humanity was something far worse for an enemy. Underestimated. 6. Humanity addresses the galaxy. After the Black Nebula victory, Ambassador Draven delivered a message not in anger, but in terrifying calm. "We warned you," he said to the Concord. "We reached out with open hands. We bent, we compromised, we sought peace." He leaned forward. "You mistook courtesy for weakness." The chamber fell silent. Humanity does not seek war, but we will finish war. And the galaxy realized something profound, something frightening. If humanity wanted to, they could win. War had been declared. Battles had been fought. And still, the reckoning had only begun. The Terran counterstrike had been precise, controlled, measured. But the next phase would not be. Vorkin had kicked a diplomat. Now humanity would kick down an empire. The price of dishonor. The Zorth Dominion had never known fear. For centuries, their legions marched across star systems uncontested. Their fleets patrolled with impunity. Their honor code, rigid, ancient, brutal, had forged an empire believed to be unbreakable. But now, as Terran warships advanced deeper into Zorth territory, fear spread like a silent plague. Entire worlds that once boasted invincible defenses watched their shield walls collapse under Helios beams. Garrisons that once roared defiance were overrun by human strike teams, swift, disciplined, unstoppable. Humanity didn't burn cities. They didn't slaughter civilians. They simply dismantled the Dominion's military machine piece by piece, stripping it of every illusion of superiority. And at the center of this storm stood the man who had sparked it all, General Vorkan. 1. The Dominion begins to crack. Deep inside the Zorth capital of Raztor, thousands of civilians packed the central plazas, watching terrified as battle reports streamed across the sky screens. Sector 19 has fallen. The Iron Bastion is breached. Terran forces approaching the outer capital ring. For generations, Zorth propaganda had portrayed humans as soft, sentimental, quick to fold under pressure. But now that same propaganda struggled to explain how human fleets had bypassed their strongholds with impossible jumps, or why Terran Marines could break through elite Zorth shock troops in minutes. In a bunker beneath the capital, the civilian council argued endlessly. "We must negotiate," one leader shouted. "With whom?" Another fired back. "The humans gave us multiple chances before this war even began." A third, trembling, whispered, "We cannot stop them. Not militarily. Not anymore." They all knew the truth. This war wasn't about territory. It wasn't about power. It was about justice. And humanity was delivering it with terrifying precision. 2. Humanity marches on Raztor. The Terran vanguard landed on the outskirts of the Zorth capital under a sky streaked with fire and ash. Hundreds of armored human soldiers advanced in synchronized formation, their boots pounding against the obsidian pavement. Above them, Terran dropships descended like iron comets. Mech strode through the battlefield with thundering steps. Defensive turrets that had once been the pride of the Dominion now lay in molten heaps. Admiral Locke observed from orbit, her voice steady in the command feed. "Push to the central palace. Capture it intact, if possible. We end this today." On the ground, Admiral Mercer, commander of the vanguard, led the charge. He raised his gauntlet, signaling forward. "Let's finish what they started." The Terran assault swept through the outer defenses. Zorth's soldiers fought with desperate ferocity, but humanity fought with something stronger than desperation. Conviction. Every human in that march remembered the sight of a diplomat kicked to the floor. Every human fought, knowing exactly what they were fighting for. Within hours, Terran forces reached the steps of the Zorth Grand Palace. And they weren't alone. Mara Ellison walked among them. 3. Mara's return. Though her face still bore the last traces of bruising, Mara's posture was unbroken. She wore lightweight tactical armor, not to fight, but to stand in the place the galaxy had once tried to silence. Ambassador Draven walked beside her. "You don't need to be here," he said. "Yes," she replied quietly. "I do." They passed fallen banners, shattered statues, and smoking craters. And then, at the top of the palace steps, the doors opened. Vorkan emerged, still armored, still towering. But the fire in his eyes, the certainty, the arrogance had dimmed. He looked down at the human envoy he had once kicked like prey. Now she stood before him as the symbol of a united, unstoppable force. Mara stepped forward. "General Vorkan," she said, voice calm, steady, unshaking. "Your empire has fallen." Vorkan snarled. "You dare? You attacked an envoy in a hall built to protect all species." Her tone sharpened. "You dishonored every treaty your empire ever signed." Vorkan's jaw tightened. "Humans are weak." Mara raised her hand. A projector beside her activated, broadcasting footage across the capital. Footage of the assault, the kick, Mara crashing to the floor, Vorkan's words of contempt. The entire Zorith homeworld watched their general commit the most unforgivable act in interstellar law. Their silence was heavy. Shameful. Breaking. "No," Mara said softly, her voice carrying across the palace plaza. "Weakness is harming those who came in peace. Weakness is attacking the unarmed. Weakness is thinking brutality equals strength." She took one step closer. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is patient. Vorkan's armor trembled as Zorith citizens around them lowered their heads. And then, Zorith's soldiers stepped forward, not to defend him, but to arrest him. Vorkan roared in blind rage, struggling against the grip of his own guards. "You cannot defeat the Dominion. You cannot." "The Dominion defeated itself," Mara answered, "and they took him away." 4. The fall of an empire. The new Zorith Provisional Council surrendered within the hour. The war was over. Humanity had won, not through annihilation, but through exposing the truth of what the Dominion had become. Earth demanded no slaves, no genocide, no planetary burning, only justice, only reparations, only a rewritten charter ensuring the protection of envoys forever. Zorith citizens, humbled and free from Vorkan's militaristic regime, agreed without hesitation. 5. Final scene, a new Concord. Weeks later, the Galactic Concord Chamber was rebuilt, its shattered stones replaced, its scorched walls restored. Delegates gathered once more, subdued and attentive. At the center stood Mara Ellison, not as a victim, but as a force of history. Her voice carried through the chamber with crystal clarity. Humanity does not seek war. Humanity seeks respect. We extend our hand in peace, but if you strike it, we will rise as one. She paused, and we will not fall. Every species listened, and unlike before, this time they listened with respect, because humanity had shown the galaxy its other side. Not the side of violence, not the side of fear, but the side of unyielding resolve. A strength born not from conquest, but from conviction. The galaxy would never forget it.